Arcadian Vanguard presents the Wrestling News and your daily wrestling newscast for Sunday, November 12th, 2023. Good morning, I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with last night's edition of AEW Collision featuring matches taped Friday night at the Oakland Arena in Oakland, California. Sting teamed with Darby Allin and Adam Copeland to defeat Lance Archer and The Righteous when Copeland pinned Vincent of The Righteous. The match marked the first time Sting, Allin, and Copeland had teamed, which they are scheduled to do again next weekend at AEW Full Gear. After the match, they were confronted by their Full Gear opponents Christian Cage, Nick Wayne, and Luchasaurus. Also on the show, Powerhouse Hobbs and Don Callis confronted Paul White, who was seated ringside to call Hobbs' match.
What? You want some?
Well, it's pretty apparent this giant does not back down. Boy, like a dragon street fight. Paul White will be in the ring on Wednesday with Kota Ibushi, Chris Jericho, and Kenny Omega against the Don Callis family.
Hobbs and White are scheduled to face off at Full Gear in what would be White's first match since March of 2022. In other results, Andrade El Idolo defeated Daniel Garcia by submission, Julia Hart beat Willow Nightingale, Rush and Dralistico defeated the Workhorsemen, and Nick Wayne pinned Dalton Castle. WWE came to Johnson City, Tennessee last night with a house show at the Freedom Hall Civic Center. In the main event, Seth Rollins retained the World Heavyweight title against Drew McIntyre. It was Rollins' second defense of the title against McIntyre following their match earlier this month at Crown Jewel. In the opening match, Gunther retained the Intercontinental title, defending it against Sami Zayn for the first time. Also successful was WWE Women's Champion Io Sky, who won out over Bianca Belair and Charlotte Flair in a triple threat. NXT North American Champion Dominic Mysterio lost to Jey Uso, but Mysterio's title was not on the line. In other results, Cody Rhodes beat The Miz, LA Knight topped Grayson Waller, Kevin Owens defeated Jimmy Uso, and Becky Lynch went over Zoe Stark. This was WWE's first show at Freedom Hall in over a year and a half. The company has run the building since 2003. Freedom Hall was one of the main venues for Smoky Mountain Wrestling in the early to mid-1990s and was run in the late 90s by WCW. It was run throughout much of the 80s by Jim Crockett Promotions, but the first wrestling show held there was a 1980 Southeastern Championship Wrestling card, headlined by NWA World Champion Harley Race defending against Mr. Wrestling 2. Turning to Japan, the DDT promotion ran their Ultimate Party 2023 show today inside Tokyo's Korakuen Hall. In the most notable result from the show, Chris Jericho defeated Konosuke Takeshita with the Walls of Jericho in 23 minutes and 32 seconds. The bout featured two of All Elite Wrestling's top stars who have been feuding with each other, but this match was not directly promoted on AEW television. There were 4 title matches on the card. In the show's main event, Yuki Ueno defeated Chris Brooks to win the KO&D Openweight title. Mao upended Matt Cardona to win the DDT Universal title in a no disqualification match. Kazuki Harada defeated New Japan Pro Wrestling's Hiromu Takahashi to regain the Iron Man Heavy Metal title. And in the show's opening encounter, Soma Takao and Shota topped Masahiro Takanashi and Antonio Honda to retain the KO&D Tag Team title. In other selected results, in a mixed 6-person tag held in celebration of Saki Akai's impending retirement, Akai teamed with Yukio Sakaguchi and Hideki Okatani in a losing effort against Kazusada Higuchi, Miyu Yamashita, and Naomichi Marufuji when Akai was pinned by Yamashita. And in a 6-man tag which pitted DDT against All Japan, Jun Akiyama Harashima and Yukio Naya defeated Jun Saito, Rei Saito, and Toshizo. Also today inside Korakuen Hall, All Japan Pro Wrestling kicked off its 47th annual Real World Tag League. In matches today, winning teams included All Japan World Tag Team Champions the Saito brothers, Cyrus and Ryan Davidson, Katsuhiko Nakajima and Hokuto Amore, and Hayato Tamura and Galeno Del Mal. The 10-team tournament will conclude on December 6th. Last year's winners were Kento Miyahara and Takuya Nomura. Miyahara has been a part of the tournament, winning team 4 times with 3 different partners, including claiming the last 3 in a row. He teamed with Nomura to win last year and Yuma Aoyagi in 2020 and 2021. Miyahara is back teaming with Aoyagi for this year's tournament. Called the World's Strongest Tag Determination League in Japan, All Japan Pro Wrestling has held the event every year since 1977, when Dory Funk Jr. and Terry Funk won the first of their 3 tournaments. Other notable winners of the Real World include Giant Baba and Jumbo Tsuruta, Bruiser Brody and Stan Hansen, Kenta Kobashi and Mitsuharu Misawa, and Steve Williams and Terry Gordy. And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the wrestling news 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The Wrestling News can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the Wrestling News across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the Wrestling News. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.